We're just going to go ahead and start. We have more than two, so that's great. And by the grace of God, the others will join us. So welcome again to the EPR Women's Network session. This is a special session, our mid-year check-in session, during which we are really this is going to be different. We're not going to be having major content and presenting too much, except for just a recap from the different sessions. But what we're going to do today is just really have an opportunity to ask questions, of each other and everything, and to just check it out, see how we're doing, and get equipped to be aligned to be successful and successfully achieve our goals for 2019. Just a quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and just share, just a couple of expectations to share how this is going to go on. As I mentioned, we'll have key reminders from previous webinars. We'll have an opportunity to share some success stories. We'd like to hear from all you, our participants, as you join us today. We will, share. I'm sure Chichi and I will be anchoring this from a facilitation perspective today. But we'll share some success stories. We'll like to hear from, you all, from that is what have you really been able to accomplish? What tips have you been able to apply? How has it worked for you? And then we'll also have an opportunity to ask questions. The great news that we have today is we have a lot of our speakers on the call. So we have Datola, she was actually one of our very first guest speakers last year, who talked to us about getting out of the rut. It was a powerful session where we really had to, thought through some of the things to do when we really feel stuck. So thank you, Datola, for joining us today. We have Edith, who is also part of the EPR Women's Network team. But earlier this year, she shared about networking for success. So we had a powerful session also in April, during which Edith shared a lot of powerful tips that I know that even I've been able to apply since then. We also do have Omotala, who actually also had an amazing session earlier this year about turning pain to possibilities. Hi, Motala, for joining us today. Really, really appreciate you joining us. We know that we're going to have a great time, an opportunity to ask any questions that folks might have. We also have Chineme, who last month shared on maximizing your financial potential. Amazing session on how to really align your plan financially in alignment with your purpose and assignments. So amazing, really just appreciate us, because you'll have an opportunity. The reason why I indicated who's on the call to answer your questions is for you to know that there are folks on the call that can answer your questions. Chichi and I are here to answer questions, and very importantly, we'll be looking for you to also share any insights that you have. I believe that every single one of us carries something. We carry greatness, we carry insights we've learned from our different experiences. So we want to hear from you, we want to learn from each other. And then finally, we're going to finish this strong by really just taking some quick, easy action, so to say, and thinking through some things to ensure that we make those commitments that we need to make to ourselves to finish strong for 2019. So that's what to expect. A lot of interactions and questions. I'm not sure how many people are going to join, but regardless, we're going to learn. So get your questions ready. Please don't wait till the very end to ask questions. Type your questions in use the Q&A functionality. The lower part of the screen, there's a Q&A functionality there. Send in your questions as we continue to talk. Don't wait till the end. You will also have, or till the Q&A session, so that at least we can start queuing it up. Also, we'll give you an opportunity to ask, verbally if you desire to do so. We'll appreciate that. And of course, please be ready to share your insights, your testimonies, your success stories. We want to hear that. Okay. So without further ado, we'll just move forward quickly. So we're just going to go into the quick recap sessions. Recaps for the different sessions. So we're going to really just walk through a few points from each webinar that we've had very quickly. Chichi and I will tag team on that, and then we'll move into the interactive discussions. So the first session that took place this year was, we really started off the year by having a webinar around jumpstarting your year. Basically, what we talked about was what are those key tips that we need to keep in mind to make sure that we set the right foundation for us to be successful for 2019. First was to make sure that we step back and really reflect on our vision, our mission, what we accomplished last year, and our goals, what are the gaps and what opportunities we have to improve. Second, we also talked a lot about, as we plan for the year, having that victor's mindset, that envisioning success, have that vision of what success would look like, and then plan in alignment with that. We also spent some time talking about, that's one of my favorite tips there, which I've been trying to apply. I'm still working on being most effective around it, is prioritizing the major activities versus minor. So think about, we leverage Stephen Covey's productivity matrix. That is, the things that are, we want to focus on the things that are important as opposed to things that are urgent and, activities that could be distracting, things like planning, exercise, and eating right, things that will add value to you, to your vision, to your future, to helping you move your goals forward. And then finally, we talked about conducting periodic checks on your goals and your progress, and making sure that you build that into your lifestyle for the year. Then we went the next month into a session by Pastor Tosin Bensi. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us today, talking about accountability for success. So going back to having those periodic checks, really just emphasizing the need for accountability. So she shared with us some insights around accountability, the 4 different types of accountability we need to take into consideration and leverage to build our accountability strategy. The first is spiritual accountability, that is to God, in prayer, relating with God, in our relationship with God, applying the word of God to our lives. The second one is around our personal accountability to yourself. What are your goals? Are you documenting your ideas, your plans, those periodic checks that I mentioned earlier, also, things that we need to build into our personal accountability strategy. And then our intellectual accountability strategy should include how to develop ourselves from a personal perspective. So think of learning some of the sessions you participate in today. Are there some degrees you need to get, things that will help you move your goals? Or do you need to make, you can make a commitment and hold yourself accountable to making sure that you're developing and improving yourself on a regular basis so that you don't dwindle away, basically. And then finally, which we hear about a lot when we think about accountability, is building that your social accountability network. That's, your spouse, if you have one, mentors, peer mentors, different type of mentors, right? You have role model mentors, you have peer mentors, prayer partners. Some of these are free, some are not free, like personal coaches. It will cost you money, but it's an investment. Now, when I talk about not free, I'm talking about money. But some of these are, it involves investment, time investment, commitment, and the like. And mastermind groups also is one that we talked about. And we'll talk about one that, Disola also talked about it last year. And we'll talk about one that I think we mentioned last month, but that we have available for EPR ladies. So again, so those are the first 2 that we had this year. I'm going to hand over to Chichi for a couple of minutes to go over the session on building your brand using social media. So, Chichi, over to you.
Can you hear me, ladies?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So the March seminar was really such an authentic seminar on how to present yourself authentically for every situation. So Aramide Abe, who was our guest speaker, fabulous session. There were very high level key points that she mentioned, which is that the world runs on social media, and we need to have a strategy for every single social media campaign, as it were. And whether we believe it or not, we are always on a campaign, we are always presenting ourselves to the world, right? And so whether it's personally or professionally for our business or for any entrepreneurship endeavor, we need to make sure that we have a place, we have a goal in place. And part of that is keeping the end in mind. And so she shared very, very key points about, well, who is your target audience? How can you leverage really who your audience is and knowing who you are to find that sweet engagement, that unique connection strategy. Another high level thing that she mentioned was basically really understanding that a social media strategy is just a plan to help you say yes or no to any tactics, any opportunity, any partnerships. And finally, just keeping it fun, keeping it organic, and making sure that you are always revising, you're always going back, and making sure that you are in alignment with your goals and your business plan. So great session. And we have some success stories from that we will share as well. And our next seminar.
Bear with me. All right, so I'll cover the networking for success. And you might be wondering why we're tag teaming this. Both of us we anchored different sessions, so we really just took the topics based on the session that we basically facilitated and worked with those presenters on. So anyways, the next one was by Edith Umala, who's actually on the call today. And of course, so if you have questions, please ask her and send in the questions. Networking for success was one in which we really just delved into what networking is and what networking is not. I mean, a lot of people have different ideas about what it is, and it was a session where we really just tried to define what it really means. Basically, it's being about building that social your social capital, basically, and your professional capital. We use the phrase, your network is your net worth. Basically, there is a lot of value in the people that you build around you from a social perspective and a professional perspective, and really honing in on the fact that it's about making those meaningful connections on a regular basis, proactively, so that you've built that network that you can tap into as you navigate through your life, as you pursue your goals, your vision, and also in your professionally. We also talked about just that that social capital being one that you want to continue to understand, manage, leverage, and make sure that manage it like a plan, a strategy, basically. One major takeaway, that really stood out to me is about being a connector and a bridge that in such a way that you're creating opportunities for people within your network. So basically, person A and person B, and this actually, speaking of success stories, happened to me yesterday. I'm in a different conversation and somebody was telling me about their goals and what they want to accomplish, and because I know somebody that did what they're trying to do, I was able to quickly connect them with that person to learn and get the information that they needed to move their business forward. So it's really just not thinking about what you get, but also how you also share and connect people. I think the other main takeaway here was also, and I think I touched on this a little bit, about building that network before you need them. Many people, think about it from the standpoint of getting a job, getting, business opportunity and all that. And it's not one that's supposed to be, based on a particular need at a particular time. But if you build it over time, you've built those relationships, you've maintained it, it's easy for you to follow up when the true need is out there. So those are some of the key tips that came out of the session. There was much more. But of course, in the interest of time, just highlighting a couple of key takeaways from that session. And we will go to the next topic, which Chichi will cover.
So in May, we had Motala Thomas lead such a simple but very powerful session on turning pain into possibilities. And truly, honestly, when we think about pain, sometimes we think of a single traumatic event, but sometimes just pain is anything that throws discomfort into our lives. And as she shared, pain is something that we need to acknowledge and we need to honestly think and talk about in order to confront it, right? So just sharing very personally and very powerfully about her own experience with a condition that affected her lifestyle and everything. She was able to change her perspective, which was a very key aspect of the seminar, right? There are circumstances that happen beyond our control. Life happens, stressors happen, but how can we begin to change our perspective in order to understand the possibilities and the strength and the power that can come from just learning about our experience and seeing how our success story or our process can be someone else's survival guide. And so, resilience, as we talked about, resilience is our response to pain. And like muscle, it can be built over time. And in fact, we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to the others who are coming behind us, whose lives, whose pain points, whose life circumstances may or may not be similar to ours. We owe it to ourselves and to them to build that resilience over time by changing our perspective, and by gathering support around ourselves. So really a key aspect of her talk, which I absolutely loved, was our journey, especially the process of dealing with our pain, and reconciling it with our purpose, understanding really even our purpose amidst our pain. Our journey can be instrumental for guiding someone else to victory. And so we shouldn't shy away from it. And in fact, we owe it to ourselves not to shy away from it. So it was a great session, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm just going to go ahead to the next session, June session. The June session, which was the maximize your financial potential. Again, one of the most powerful sessions that we've had, because it was very practical, right? Pastor Chineme led that talk, and he was talking really about a redefinition of wealth and a redefinition of personal finance. When we think about wealth, sometimes we think of this static ideal that none of us can achieve. Not so. Wealth is simply, when you think about it, the ability to experience life fully. But what does that mean in the practical, right? Those who are in the state of wealth really are those who have the time and the opportunity to carefully evaluate their vision and their goals and look for opportunities to maximize their financial potential. So there is a formula, a very simple formula that Pastor Chineme shared, but part of it is really exposing the mindset that prevent us from diligently pursuing that formula. So the formula is very simple, right? We kind of all instinctively know the formula. Reduce your expenses, increase your income, and build wealth over time. But again, we have to start with the end in mind. What were we created to do? What is our purpose? What do we enjoy? What are our passions? What are our strong suits? How can we begin to monetize those creative ideas? And how can we be diligent over time to improve ourselves, and really be amazing stewards of what we've been given? So really, and I think what we hope you are learning from all these EPR Women's Network webinars is that all of these things are interconnected, right? We were all created with a purpose. There's something that we've been given. We've been given raw material. How are we maximizing it? How are we being great stewards of what we've been given, to create time and opportunity to impact others? So Pastor Chineme led a very powerful session on really redefining wealth, redefining personal finance, so we can create space for ourselves and ultimately impact others powerfully.
All right. And last but not the least, we have, a session that we did have last year, and wanted to, that was facilitated, hosted by Detola Amore, who is, she is the founder of Super Working Mom. And last year, in the middle of the year, around this time, I think, we spent some time really talking about getting out of the rut. What does that really mean? What that really meant for us at the time was we felt like we were at that time during the year where a lot of people were trying to achieve their goals, they were a little bit stuck with regards to their goals, their vision, and really trying to get out of that state of confusion, that state of just going around in circles. Not sure if any of you feel that way at different points in time, but I'm sure we've all, gotten to that point where we started off with these lofty goals. Something happened, an interruption happened, whatever it is, financial issue, health issue, career loss, whatever it was, to just kind of get us off track. And really just she just spent some time talking us through some key key tips and things to think about to really get ourselves out of that rut. So the first point that I wanted to emphasize here is just, the first step that she recommended was really thinking about really pausing and really doing a reality check. What's really working, what's not working, and what needs to change. Thinking about things like that really kind of helps you hone in on the fact that there's some things that are working in your life. There's some things that may not be working, and you want to separate. In my mind, I think about it from standpoint of separate the waters from the waters. That is, so that you start clarifying your mind and decluttering your mind. And then from there, you can identify what needs to change. And then going back to a lot of things that we've talked about in, so many other sessions, is about now identifying your goals from that information and figuring out the way to track it. She has an amazing approach that she uses in her coaching and her engagement and training of people around the rule of 5, really simplifying the way you set your goals and you track your goals, focusing on the 5 most important things that you're going to focus on at any given time. Really helps you think through things from a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis. Some of you who have used some of her tools may have seen that over time. She also talked about really just having that positive mindset. That is, for you to get out of that rut, you need to think about it from the standpoint of, well, something may have happened, an interruption may have happened, but if you think you're a failure, then you're a failure, right? Or you become a failure. If you think of yourself from a success perspective, that is, and you have that, as mentioned earlier, that victor's mindset, you increase your chances of really getting out of that rut. And that is very key, to get into where you need to go. Again, going back to the scripture that says, where, as a man thinketh, so is he. That is really anchored on that. And then really kind of facing setbacks from the standpoint of, hey, setbacks are not meant to just have you just give up on your goals, but really taking action to be determined to just overcome those setbacks. Setbacks will come, but it's important for you to take them, look them in the face, and take the action to overcome them. And she spent a lot of time, actually, this was kind of the first time within EPR Network that we talked about, kind of building accountability in different ways. And one that she really emphasized was kind of participating, not only getting coaches or building your network, but also participating in mastermind groups. I got a question offline here around what a mastermind session is. A mastermind session is one in which a small group of people come together with the goal within a specified time period, typically like 90 days, and they are focused. They spend some time working with an experienced coach, somebody facilitating the discussion, and really based on the fact that you have a specific goal in mind, and you work towards it. In that small group, you're held accountable, for those specific goals within that time period. So you might say, I want to complete my business plan within X amount of time. And that group, you're working together to focus on that particular group. The good news is Detola actually is offering last year when she had the session, she actually, committed to offering us whenever we're ready, mastermind sessions, which at a special discount actually to EPR Women's Network. And so we'll share the link on, if you're interested. There's more information on how to participate in it. I believe it's going to be starting next month. And so more to come on that. But of course, when we have the Q&A session, you'll have an opportunity to ask her a little bit more about that. So I believe that is the very last of our topics to recap. We're going to just go now and flip into the discussion point. This is the most exciting point. We have a lot of time to have discussion. So I would like you to, start sending in your questions. Again, you can use the question and answer. You can use the question and answer functionality. It's right below your screen. You can raise your hand. So if you raise your hand, I will see it and we can allow you to talk so we can hear your voice. And so we would like to, first of all, if you have any success stories from previous sessions, think about it. I can start and share, a couple that I have. I think I mentioned one with regards to networking and connecting others. I think one that somebody shared with me actually yesterday was around the session on social media networking, maximizing your brand with using social media, that Chichi did an awesome job just articulating. And one of the ladies within EPR, unfortunately she couldn't join today, just shared how she was able to use a lot of the tips and insight that was gained from that session to build her business and take her social media presence to the next level by making sure that she's intentional about having that overall strategy, so that now, in the past, she used to have somebody help her with social media and she felt like they were just struggling and just going around in circles. But now she's in a better position to hire someone because she has a strategy. She has thought through that strategy. So now she feels more comfortable hiring some help to help her manage her social media account. So that was a success story from her perspective, and I just wanted to share that. Before we go into the next question, I think what I would like to do, I'd like to give Detola an opportunity to answer the question about masterminds. I don't know if I did it justice. So Detola, if you want to just answer that question quickly so that we have a good answer, not by an amateur. So if you can do that, that would be good. And then we'll take the first question.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Kemi. And yeah, you did give a very good explanation of what a mastermind is. I think the only thing I will add is because sometimes people try to picture it in their minds that what exactly does that look like? So before I say what it looks like, the end goal of the mastermind, which is because at the end of the day, like, why should I join a mastermind? The end goal of joining a mastermind is really for you to be able to achieve that goal. It's so easy to set goals. It's so easy to say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to move my business to the next level. But if you don't have the stamina, if you don't have the motivation to pull through, that goal isn't going to happen. So one example that I always love to share is about one of the ladies that took part in one of the masterminds that I did. I'd been wanting to write a book for about 5 years. She had the plot, everything in her mind, but she couldn't just find the time. She just couldn't get started. But after joining a 90-day mastermind, which I ran, by the end of that 90 days, she already had her first draft done. So something that she had been trying to do for 5 years, she was able to get done in 90 days. And usually what a mastermind session looks like, excuse me, like if you're trying to envision that is, because we have women from all over the world. We're a global community now, isn't it? So we come online during a particular day of the week. We're all, just like we are now, we jump on a Zoom call. And at the beginning of the mastermind, everyone has already stated their goal. It has to be specific. It has to be precise. And we always stick to one major goal, or at least two, but usually one major goal. It has to be major. And then we begin to track how that goal goes. So every week, each person will come and say, last week I said I was going to do this. I got it done. Oh, this was where I struggled, blah, 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 and all of that. So that's everyone. And then one person for that week gets to be on the hot seat, where people would, brainstorm with you if you're struggling or if you need help with clarifying, some things you need to do to reach your goals. We'll brainstorm with you, and those sessions are usually hot, hot in a good way, because they propel you to the next level. They help you think beyond what you have thought about. So, and then we continue that every week to the end of the 90 days. I usually have one-to-one sessions with each ladies, just to bring together all the ideas that you might have gotten on the mastermind. So it's usually a powerful time together. People, and we apply some of the tools that we've mentioned. Networking, you get to get access to other people's networks. People get to tell you, oh, I know this person who can help you do this. Oh, I have an editor, I have a this, I have a that. So you get to, the power of others who are behind you, pushing you on, praying with you. I also call it a prayer storm, because we pray together. Sometimes the masterminds turn into prayer sessions where someone is just completely lost, and we ask for the help of the Holy Spirit. So I can go on and on, but that's just a recap. Or a summary of what a mastermind is. If anyone has particular questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Detola. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, I can attest to, one of my major goals for this year, is one that I had to, speaking of masterminds and getting a personal coach, it was something I had to invest in. And I remember kind of holding my breath when I was about to spend the money, like, oh my God, something has dropped from my body, from my bank account. And I had to invest in it. And I can see significant progress just because I made that investment and I made that commitment to work with somebody to work on that specific goal. So again, huge, huge benefits that come with that. Any other questions? And Chichi has posted the different sessions for the different months and the speakers. And so if you have questions, please, this is supposed to be interactive, not for me and Chichi to be talking. It's for you. So I know, Chichi, you had a question or story that you wanted to share.
Yeah, it's actually just a brief testimony. I have two, one from the May session, Omotala session, and one from the June session, which is the Maximize Your Financial Potential session. So I invited a lady to Omotala session. I've been inviting her to EPR sessions, but this was the first one that she was able to come to. She's a breast cancer survivor, and literally it was such a powerful session for her. And she was able to engage with Omotala and just asking the question of, I've gone through my pain moment. By God's grace, I have this, I have a victory story. I have a testimony. I know that my process can help someone else. So, what do I say to friends and family and loved ones around me who really may be asking me to kind of take it easy? And Omotala gave such a seasoned response in wisdom. But the success story is that this lady has actually started a foundation, and you can't see it, but I'm actually wearing the shirt from the foundation. And she basically started a foundation to help other breast and prostate cancer patients and or survivors really empower others, and really, really help others in their community, like tangibly, right? So every pain point that she experienced through her recovery process, it's now an opportunity, and it's an avenue that she's using to really directly serve her community here in Atlanta, Georgia. So literally, she has a website. The work has already started, and I mean, it was just such a great moment for her to connect with someone and to see someone like Omotala just really living life powerfully and so enthusiastically and so powerfully. So her foundation is called Have Faith Foundation, faithfoundation.org, as shameless plug. But really, I talked to her afterwards and she was like, thank you so much for that. So thank you, Omotala, for being with us and sharing in May. And then just a quick one for June. I know that I always have a lot of mentees who are at various stages of their lives. And really there's the mentality that before I get that long career, or before I'm like 10, 20, 30 years into my career, I'm just going to struggle. This is, I embrace the struggle life. And that's really not our portion. And as Pastor Chineme shared in the June seminar, you can never really start too early to think about wealth, to think about where we are, and to think about how we can begin to build long-term habits for future success. So I invited a lot of mentees to just listen. These are people who are at various stages of their careers. And again, they were able to pinpoint, this is something I can do now. And, even after the seminar, people were saying, I can do X, Y, Z now, to help begin to build those long-term habits for building wealth. So I know that they're excited. I know that Pastor Chineme has a sort of a mastermind also coming up, and just the opportunity to be held accountable, and to say, you actually do have control. What is it that you have control now? What are some mindsets that you can control now? What are some habits that you can put into place now? And I know, it seems like such a small thing, but in the final analysis, those are the little things that help shape people towards future success. So those are the two testimonies that I have.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much, and sharing that, the testimonies even from others. And if you've heard, feedback from others, still feel free to share. So we're just gonna pause for a minute and see if anybody has any questions. I hope you do. I believe that's why you joined today. So I'm waiting for those hands. You can raise your hands, by using the raise your hand functionality, or you can type it. Don't be shy. This is for Kemi, okay? So we have a question coming in. How can we continue to jumpstart our year? How can we continue to jumpstart our year? So meaning I guess what I think, not just at the beginning and the end. Great. Okay, thanks for expanding on that. So good question. And this is something that I continue to challenge myself on also. There are a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, the beginning of the year and the end of the year is definitely not the only time you take a look at your goals, your vision, your mission, and what you're trying to achieve, or assessing where you are from where you want to be, and identifying what you need to do differently. You need to build a rhythm around it. So there's a structured rhythm that you build around it. So there are different ways. It depends on how it depends on what works for you. Definitely the minimum is the beginning at the end of the year, and even if you just do that, honestly, you're not going to make a lot of progress. I would say there is you want to have the scope of what you do, the scope of how you do your reflection will vary depending on whether you're talking about monthly, where you have a time period where maybe at the beginning of the month, like for EPR, we have a 3-day fasting and praying session. That's one time that we all kind of go into this moment of reflection, thanking God for what has happened, really focusing on what we want to focus on for the month. That is always a good time to think about. That's always a good time to really think about, okay, how was last month? What are the things I wanted to achieve? What are the things what went wrong? How can I readjust? Are things going right? What should I stop, continue? There's also, from a quarterly perspective, is also a good time to take a look at things just from a broad perspective. Just like I think about it from the standpoint of, even working in any organization, for those of you who are in corporate America or in the corporate world, I would say, since we're global here. Every organization has checkpoints. You have your annual checkpoint, which is just at the very high level. You have quarterly checkpoints where the organization is taking a look at how they're doing financially, and other areas from a business strategy perspective and all that throughout they do it on a quarterly basis. On a monthly basis, they have a way to check in to just make sure that they don't stay off track. So you want to build into it what makes sense for you. So for some people, it might be, they're able to take a personal retreat at the mid-year to really just do a deep dive where they have some quiet time. I used to do this a lot when I was single, where I'll just be quiet for a weekend and just really thinking through some things. One of the things that has helped me to just keep things upfront, honestly, is really, for lack of a better term, having my vision board and my goal board, my goals, my vision are very visible. I'm not going to articulate on this call how visible and my approach to visibility. If you want to learn about it, if you know about it, you can contact me offline, but figure out what works for you. Where do you want it to be visible? Where's it somewhere that is so visible for you that you can see it on a regular basis, so you don't have to have this, intense time where you're scheduling some time all the time, but it's right there before you when you wake up in the morning, and you're moving around. So that personally has worked for me, such that even if I don't have the time to do a deep dive in a particular period, so to say, I can, I have it on my forefront, in front of me on a regular basis. I can easily say, maybe even when I'm feeling discouraged, I can say, well, wow, I have accomplished X, Y, Z. Here's what I need to focus on going forward. So that's what has helped me. Any of the speakers, one of the things that I also like to hear of it, I'm sure all of the speakers we have on here are amazing. They have a lot of experience, especially in this area. So if you have any adds to anything you want to add to in response to Chichi's question, feel free to chime in. Go ahead, sorry.
The only thing I'll say, and what I am actually about to implement in my life, is to get an accountability partner, somebody who will give permission to basically check on you at different points in the year and on your goals. It could be weight loss, it could be saving, or whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's my only addition.
That's a great one too. I also have that, I have an accountability partner that I meet with every quarter, where we talk about our goals, we talk about what we wanted to accomplish, and we have permission to ask, what's going on with your business? What's going on with this X goal and that goal? And we we share and we learn and we go away, we do what we need to do, and we come back again. And so I would say for that, what has helped me, and I'm sure people have different experiences, is we've actually put it on our calendars. We schedule the time, we go out somewhere, we spend 2 hours, we don't go outside of the, it's not just random and everything. We solid 2 hours, we plan for it, we get there, we have notes, we just talk based on what's going on with us, and we go and then we come back again.
Yeah, I definitely agree to having an accountability partner. It is so powerful. It is so powerful, even on basic things, just saying, you know what, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. Someone to just call you and say, hey, are you awake? So there's so much power in accountability. And that's again where, that mastermind concept comes in, because sometimes knowing that, if I don't work on this goal, there are like 5 other women waiting to say, sister, what happened? Why didn't you work on your goals? Of course, life happens and they're there to push you on. But then if for that reason alone, you get your goals done, then you get, sorry, my daughter's crying in the background. You will get it done. So yeah.
All our children are in the background.
Yes, so we talked about that before we started. So.
Oh my God.
No stress.
She's trying to get in and I'm like pushing the door. Oh, God.
That's okay. Go ahead. As long as we can hear you.
Okay. So that's it really.
Okay,
and again, I'm being practical, because you can say all the things of, ask the Lord to help you. He will help you. But I think I'm going to have to let her in. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Detola. Thank you so much. All right. Anybody else? Anybody?
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Edith.
For who?
Edith.
Oh, hi, Edith. Oh, hi, Edith. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Hey, hi.
Okay, so I think she covered the networking for success portion, correct?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
so my question is this, I understand the importance of networking, and I try to, network with as many people as, as possible. But, at what point, like how soon after networking with somebody can you start to ask for favors without, looking like you're trying to take advantage of the person?
That's a very good question.
Let me give you an example. So, I was at a conference in June, and, I gave a talk, and then this man walks up to me and he's like, he enjoyed my talk. I don't know, he's Lebanese, but he grew up in Nigeria. Now, I know he's extremely wealthy because he said so, but he wasn't being arrogant. And there are different projects that I want to work on that require funding. And I know that if I haven't explicitly asked him, like he's talked to me about what I want to do, and I've told him my plans and my project. But at what point does one start to feel comfortable enough to ask and say, okay, can you be of assistance in this area without looking like you're trying to take advantage?
So there are a couple of different things, especially with a specific example that you've provided. What I would typically say is you need to continue to build that professional relationship at least for a little bit longer. However, what you might want to explore in this particular cases is there a passion that you both have in common? So if he was at a conference you were speaking at, there must be something, he's probably interested in a particular topic or the particular topic you spoke about. So one way to do it would be to, go further to say, it was nice meeting you at this event. I really would like to, kind of understand your inspiration around this or your interest around it. But you need to literally build a relationship much beyond your meeting him last month to really get to know, if it's something it's passionate about, how you can both partner together. So you're not just going to say, I need help, but really, how can you partner together? And in partnering, you would like his support. So, but it would be something I would say you need to explore over a couple of months. Because if you just reach out to him and just say, well, I have this project and I need your help, then it's kind of exploitation of that relationship. But if you build and nurture it through a lot of conversations, through sharing, together, and then you make it a partnership, it's a lot easier for people to accept. I'll give an example. A couple of years ago, I reached out to someone who professionally in my field is very advanced and really well known in my field. And I really wanted, very similar to you, but it was slightly different because it was not financially related, but I wanted the person to connect me to someone else. And I sent a couple of emails, and then I started to follow the person, on LinkedIn, to really see the topics that were very important to that person, the kind of things she wrote about. And I started to share information with her. Then eventually I kind of said to her I was going to be in the same city she was in, and I would like, if she was free, to either come to her office or have coffee with her. And we built that relationship. It took a couple of months before I really was able to ask her the question or the introduction I needed, but it was not immediate.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
It does. And I think, I'll just add one more point to that. So he has all but told me that he's willing to help. I just have to be the one to ask. Do you see what I'm saying? But I'm hesitant because the relationship is still new. But he's literally said to me, I have funding and I can help if you need to. But I haven't asked because I feel like the relationship is still new. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then I would just say to you that it seems
just go ahead.
Just go ahead, because obviously there's a similar interest. He's really committed.
And he came to me.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say, be bold and just do it.
All right. I'll say, you did say I should ask you. I think Pastor Chineme wanted to add to that.
Yeah, really quickly. So the 2 points that you shared about the specific instance is good, because that adds some color to it, right? One, he approached you after you spoke, and two, he has indirectly said that he has funding. Just adding on to the points that have already been given by the way of building relationships, one of the two things that I would say, and I think one is more appropriate here than the other, is just begin to communicate with him, specifically finding out what that interest is, but also sending him, whether it's information, so you're just kind of given in the beginning, which is a very good way. We've all done this. We're given because we have in our minds that in the end we're gonna get or ask or what have you. But I think what's more appropriate here is not just giving him information. Another trick that I use is start to update him on what you're doing. You're not asking yet, but you're just saying, hey, I really like, the fact that we've connected and you reached out. I'm just excited about what I'm working on now. Here are some of the projects that I'm working on right now, or here are some of the things since you heard me speak. These are some of the updates that have happened regarding to this project or regarding to this, whatever goal it is that you're trying to achieve. And then make that a more soft, because I know some of us women, in corporate America, you see men who just go for it. Men are a little bit more direct. And women in corporate America, we've been trained as women to just kind of sit back, or there are a lot of books that tell you need to get in there, be like the man, fight with the man, get into the ring and fight like them. We're not quite men. However, we are going to use what is perceived as our weakness. We can actually use that as a strength. And so to me, what is more appropriate here is to just in a subtle way have a few connect emails or connect calls, however way you feel comfortable, and just update him on what you're doing. And the more he knows on what you're doing, what your next steps are, your next milestone, your next target, your next goal, he's going to start getting a clearer idea on how he can help you. And over time, hopefully very short, in a short few weeks or maybe a month, he would then say, hey, this is right up my alley. I've been thinking about this. I'm glad you mentioned it. He would actually come up and tell you, hey, What do you think about us partnering? What do you think about me funding this? And organically, it will form. It will form, because here you're dealing with a man. If it was a woman, it may take years and nothing is ever spoken. But you're dealing with a man who is probably eager to say something. And in his mind, he's also like, wait a minute, I can't be the one pushing my money down her throat.
Right.
She also needs to show
Right.
interest. And I think that subtle interest that you can show him is to update him on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I agree, because he's very conscientious, if that's the right word, about not appearing arrogant. And
Right. Right.
thank you.
Thank God.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, that was rich. I'm sitting here like, oh my God. Anyways, any other questions? Sorry, another child crying here. Any other questions? Any other questions? You can raise up your hand or put something in the chat group. Put your question in, kind of post your question in the chat group if you have any. Or any testimonies. Hey, you guys are quiet. No questions? Okay. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, oh, I think one is coming. One is coming. I'm excited. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. All right. Bear with me. All right. Oh, by looking for that's funny. I thought it was a question. Okay, so so if you don't have any other questions, just a couple of things to think about. We've heard a lot today. I hope you've learned one or two things from the recap sessions, discussions, from the questions that have been asked, just as you just listened today. I hope you have been challenged. I hope you are feeling uncomfortable. I hope you're being like, you're thinking, oh my God, I have so much I need to focus on, or I need to, get more information. First, I will say if you're curious about the other sessions and you have not been a part of any of the sessions that we've been talking about today, the recordings are available. We have a playlist of all the recordings, which we will make available to you all. We can definitely put it in that. Chichi, I don't know if you have it handy in the where we can just kind of post it for the ladies. If we do have it, if not, we'll send it in our follow-up email. So that's number one. So you will have an opportunity to go through them in case you're interested in maybe Pastor Chineme's, session about finances, or the social media one, or networking, whatever it is. You have an opportunity to go and get some more details. The second question, the second activity, there's a question that's coming in before we go into this recharge challenge. So Detola says she has a question for Pastor Chineme. So go ahead, Detola.
Okay. Sorry. Right. This is a question I get a lot from a number of my ladies around building wealth and paying off debt. So obviously we need to save. So do you clear your debt first, and do you go banging to clear debt and then start saving, or do you do them in combination, or what will be your approach to trying to build wealth while clearing your debt? Yeah.
Depending on what debt it is, right? So if it's paying off your house or paying off some of the big purchase items that are more of an investment, I would say pay it off little and save. But if it's what I call silly living debt, meaning you racked up a lot of credit cards throughout college, you've looked at the fine print and the interest rate on that is 32%, you would be silly not to pay that off like your life depended on it. Why? Because all the money you would put in your savings would be drowned out by even interest fees, interest charges that are accumulating. So it's really dependent on the debt. But even with a combination of house and credit cards, I still tell people to put away a little bit in their savings. There is a discipline that needs to be honed and putting away into a savings account that you could see, and the discipline does come up where you can see it, you have access to it. That's the discipline that people, like if you wake up in the middle of the night with cold sweats and you go and you're paying your credit card, you still haven't learned that discipline of saving. So you could pay off your credit card, but just the art of watching, seeing money in a savings account that you have access to and you don't touch it, even though there's a sale on shoes, even though there's a sale on that favorite purse. That discipline is what we're trying to cultivate, because if you don't do that, then what happens? The Bible says that you have, and some of it is your seed and some of it is your bread. A lot of us are eating our seed. We can't look at that savings account and leave it there, because we know that that's what's going to take us to building our wealth. That's going to be the seed money for our new business. That's the seed money for our new project. But what we're doing is we're eating our seed and eating the bread too. So we're eating the bread, we're eating the seed, we're eating everything. So there's a discipline there, and it's not a science, it's an art. What type of debt do you have, and have you cultivated the habits, the discipline of saving up seed money for a project and a vision that you know you have? You know that vision is yours. You know you were put on this earth for that vision.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think another question came in. How do you know when you have maximized your financial potential? Before Pastor Chineme responds to that, I will say again, just encourage you. Chichi has posted the playlist for all the sessions. I recommend, going through that session. I'm sure you get a boatload of information beyond what she will share with you here. But Pastor Chineme, over to you.
How do you know when you have maximized your financial potential?
Yep.
In the first 15 minutes of the playback for the session for June, it answers that question for you. The first 15 minutes, because we started with the end in mind. And that end is, I have maximized my financial potential when I am using all the finances that I have been given and that I have accumulated over time to fulfill the purpose for which I have been created on earth. That's it. So maximizing it means you're always given something. There's something in your hand, and your job is to grow, maximize it, expand it, enlarge that capacity, enlarge that place of your tent, being able to grow with what you have in your hands. And it's not about money. It's not about having millions of dollars in their accounts. That would happen when you're in your place of position. You will have more than enough, but it's really fulfilling a purpose, helping people, helping whatever it is that you've been put in the world to do. If it's just making widgets or making mugs, and that's what you've been put on the earth to do, then that's what you're doing. When you have not, because a lot of times we also need to know what it doesn't look like. What it doesn't look like is you are still trying to fulfill your purpose on earth, and what is stopping you is finances, right? That means you haven't maximized it, but you've maximized it when your finances are cooperating with you in your journey to fulfilling your purpose. Okay.
Hope that answers your question, Renee. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you, Pastor Chineme. Anybody else? Good questions. Titi, we've shared the link to the 90-day mastermind class, mastermind group that is going to be kicking off in September. And again, for those who are interested in Chineme's master class, so it's a master class that's going to be going on also in August. Feel free to reach out to her. I believe there's a link also, Chichi. I don't know if you can share the link with the ladies also. So we're just gonna go into just a quick, recharge challenge. As I mentioned earlier, I want to make sure that we are positioned to really make quality decisions to position us to be successful, to slay our goals in 2019. We still have time. We're just in July. Yes, the year has gone by so fast. So I'd like you to just take a moment. We have a few minutes to just think and articulate. You can write it on a piece of paper or a notepad that you have, or journal that you have with you, and just articulate the one thing based on everything that you've heard or anything that you've been thinking about before. What is that one thing that you want to do differently that will position you for success? And as you articulate that, what are you going to do about it? So it's not just to say, hey, I'm going to do X. What do you need to do differently about it? What step are you going to take? And then one of the things that has come up consistently as we've had this conversation today has been about accountability. There are different kinds of accountability, right? There's, you can get a mentor, you can get you can have an accountability partner, you can join a mastermind, you can get a personal coach. There are different ways for you to kind of be held accountable. And so, think about, so we're going to take a moment to just think about that. So write that down. If you feel comfortable sharing, feel free to share in the chat group. No pressure. Or if you want to articulate it verbally, feel free to do that. But I just want you to just take a moment and make that commitment now. And Chichi, I see you're back. Can you try to talk to make sure that we can hear you?
Hi, ladies. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. Okay, glad you're back. So I tried to go through the exercise. Yeah, okay. So you can take on from here. So the ladies are thinking.
And I think one consistent theme in every EPR Women webinar is start with the end in mind, right? Start with the end in mind. And how can you parse that end goal into SMART goals? For example, what do you need to do today? If you never wrote out your personal development plan, say for example, from the January session, that might be an action item for making sure that you accomplish goals in 2019. As one of our attendees mentioned, maybe you need to make something visible, maybe a board, a flip chart, and post it in a room, your bedroom or somewhere visible. What is it that you can do today? What is it that you can do this month? What is it that you can do quarterly, as Kemi mentioned? How do we make accountability organic by incorporating a strategy into our daily lifestyle? So we'll give you a chance to put that to paper.
And feel free to share if you feel comfortable doing so. It's always very powerful to just make that commitment out there, but no pressure at all. No pressure at all. The only thing I'll ask right now, Chichi, if you don't mind, is once you're done doing it, just say done in the chat group. Just say, just indicate you're done, because we want to make sure that everybody takes that action. Thank you, Agogo. Thank you. Anybody else? I hope you're all writing or thinking. So again, what is the action that you need an accountability partner? Awesome. You know, it's interesting you said that. I guess you were the one that the Holy Spirit was telling me about earlier, because I just had a nudging in my heart to ask people if they needed an accountability partner, and I did not listen. Oh, I did not take that action and follow up on it. So is there anybody else in the group that needs an accountability partner? We have somebody who is in need of one.
It's funny you mentioned that, Kenny. I was also going to say, does anyone need an accountability partner, especially from within EPR? And you don't have to be in the same city. You don't have to be in the same state. So thanks, Theodora, for asking that question.
Theodora, I have somebody for you. I think I have somebody that has indicated to me offline that they need one too. So we can definitely connect you. If you don't feel comfortable sharing here, you can feel free to reach out to us or send a message on the WhatsApp group or to myself or Chichi to say, I need an accountability partner, and we'll match you up. So Amatala, you wanted to say something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You know, as people are writing, you know, their strategy and their accountability things and stuff like that, I just feel led to say this, and I don't know if this is applicable to everybody, but my life over the last 3 years since I started talking about my illness and my struggles with Parkinson's disease has not taken a clear path. Like, you know, 3 years ago, I think it was August 2016, when I put my first post up saying, look guys, I got diagnosed with this illness. I don't know where it's going to go, but I know that I'm going to do my best not to let it get the best of me. At that point in there, I could not imagine that I would be where I am today in terms of the advocacy work that I'm doing and reaching out to people and going around and speaking and doing all these things. The point I'm trying to make is I wrote something down. I'm going to read it. It says, you know, maybe it all does not, I wrote this down about a year ago. Maybe it doesn't have to make sense before you start. Maybe you have to start before it makes sense. You know, and I've realized that, at least for me, the way God has led me is that I take a little step and then I see a little further. I take another step and I see a little bit further. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh, wow, I've come so far. But like, if I looked at the entire journey from the beginning, I would have never taken that first step, because it would have been so daunting. So I just, you know, I want to encourage people to dream big, to think far and wide. And like, I have had failures on my journey, but I think that's also part of the process. You know, people cannot be afraid to fail and say, oh, I might fail in this. If I do this, it might not work out. I think that is a necessary part of the journey. So I just want to encourage people to just, you know, think as wide and as far as they can as they set their goals for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, the scripture that comes to mind is, you know, a man plans. We plan. I'm paraphrasing. We plan our, you know, we make our plans and, you know, think through our plans and make our plans. But the Lord that establishes our steps. So we do have. We need to trust. So it doesn't mean don't plan, right? It doesn't mean don't. You know, don't make plans, but trust God. And another scripture that dropped in my spirit right now is the path of the righteous man shines brighter and brighter into the dawn of the new day. Many times it's about taking the first step and then the door opens. God doesn't always give us the full picture. In fact, he doesn't, because it will probably scare us. We'll probably be like, sorry, I can't do that. But he gives us one step at a time. And then once we take that step, you know, he entrusts us with the next level. So great point.
Yeah, and I think people should just be, you know, I'm not trying to find the right words to articulate what I'm trying, you know, just keep putting yourself out there, keep giving, keep putting out outputs. I got a call 2 weeks ago from a researcher at one of the top universities here in the UK, asking me if I wanted to partner with them on a project, you know, that has to do with Parkinson's disease in Nigeria. This is what I've wanted. This is what I believe my goal and my mission with this illness has been. This woman found me on YouTube by just Googling Parkinson's disease and Africa or something, and she saw one of the videos that I gave a year ago. Now, when I gave that video, I had no idea that it will have this much of an impact. So everything that you do is adding value and is leading you closer and closer to whatever your ultimate goal is. You may not be able to see it, but you just have to trust. I watched something this morning, and the guy was trying to explain this analogy, saying, when you go to the gym and you work out and you lift weights and you come back home, you don't see the muscle fibers tearing. You don't see the impact. You just step on the scale and you're still the same weight, and you're discouraged. But you have to continue to go, like everything is working together and everything is adding up. So just keep putting it out there.
I'm trying to get off mute. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is so on point. So on point. Chichi, over to you. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
So go ahead.
Oh no, like I hope that this portion of today was helpful to you. Please incorporate everything that Omotola just said. Part of starting with the end in mind is putting yourself out there. One of the things that I learned this week is that nothing has to be perfect. Let's say that you have a goal in mind. Part of that is starting, as Omotola has just said. Doing something not at 100%, but still getting it done is light years ahead of just not even starting at all. So we just want to make sure that you are achieving your goals, you are chasing those goals down. And many of you have mentioned that you do want accountability, and we want to be obedient to that. If you still want accountability partner with someone in EPR, or really just someone who has reached out to us, please do so. We want to make sure to get you connected. So that's going to be an important part of checking in with one another, and we're also called to administer grace to one another. I think that's something that has been consistent with each of the EPR Women's Network seminars, right? From each topic, for each speaker, they have shared an aspect of themselves that they have learned from, they have excelled in, or they have learned from, and we owe it to us to continue sharing, as Omotola has said, to put that information out there. So whatever God has put in your hand, whatever purpose that you know that you've been called to do, what steps are you taking now to share that with the world? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters, that impact that you and only you have been uniquely created to do can make. With that, we're going to move on. We just want to continue sharing some more information. As part of this, we've shared the information for the mastermind, the 90-day mastermind with Detola. I'm going to share now the information for Pastor Chiname's Maximize Your Financial Potential seminar. It is a link. You can go there and definitely put in your name and your information, and we will get back to you. The last thing that we want to do is we want to share what you expect moving forward from EPR Women's Network webinars. So with that, we want to go to, so we want to essentially share August seminar. So our August seminar is coming up. We want you to definitely save the date, and we are pulling that up, and we're going to share the dates for that.
Can you see Chichi?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. I lost connection for a minute.
Oh, no problem. So first of all, we want to say thank you for joining us. And we also, like I said, we're going to do the survey, but we also want to save the dates, right? So every month we have the EPR Women's Network webinars, and the next one is the 17th at 12 p.m. So definitely feel free to invite your friends. We are going to share the topic. We are just confirming based on your feedback. So if there's a topic that you certainly want us to cover, let us know, and we will share that. At this point, we're pushing towards a business plan idea, but also you can help us with your feedback. And then we also want to mention the EPR global conferences that are coming up in November. That's really, really exciting. If you've ever been to a women's conference with EPR, you know that it's life-changing and phenomenal. So there are actually going to be 2 dates this time. One in the UK, that's in early November, and later in November, there's going to be the US one. So definitely save the dates for those. And I have just shared the information about the Maximize Your Financial Potential Masterclass. So definitely go there, put in your information, or you can just message me directly on this during this webinar and let me know that you're interested. Kemi, over to you for the survey.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just very quickly, as usual, we like to get your feedback on how, you know, the session went, and so just a quick poll that I'm going to launch right now. It will just 4 questions. We'd like for you to just give us some feedback. We need your feedback to help us ensure that we understand how we're doing and we can improve as we go along for every one of our sessions. So I've just launched the poll. Can you all see it? And if you can just answer the questions. I don't see anybody responding yet. Chichi, can you see the poll? No. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, the poll
Okay.
is launched.
Okay, good. Sorry. Oh, so I have a question. So the UK Emerge conference is not available. The details are not available yet, but yes, we will make sure that we provide that to you, data as soon as we have it. We should be getting some of the save the date information out hopefully later this month, and people can start registering. So, all right, let's see. So please fill out the survey. We need your feedback. Couple more minutes. Anybody else still filling it out? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Before I shut it down, I'm going to be ending the poll soon. As you're doing the poll, just a quick one. We just want to find out, is there anybody on the group that has joined us today that is joining us for the very first time? If you're joining an EPR Women's Network webinar for the very first time. Oh, we have 2 people that raised their hands. Oh, whoa. So we have Theodora and Renee. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We actually do, one of the things that we want to do for you is, as we mentioned, first of all, I want to welcome you and want to encourage you to join us. As you see, we have had powerful, powerful sessions since the beginning of the year, and we'll continue. Our goal is to have sessions every single month. The only month that we probably won't have a session is going to be in November, when we have the conference. Another thing I'd like to share with you, oh my God, we have 3 people. Oh wow, then we need to do a raffle. Isabella, oh, this is your first time joining. Welcome, welcome. I guess we have a lot of first timers. So what we're gonna do is we are going to offer you a discount because you've joined us for the very first time. What we're gonna do is we will want to make sure that you register for the Emerge conference, and we're gonna give each of you a 10% discount on the conference registration fees once the details come out. But the only thing will be, the only ask is that within the first month of it coming out, we want you to register. So you'll have a 10% discount for joining for to the conference in November. We will want you to register within the first month, and we're looking for you to join us. So hopefully that encourages you to join us, but that is your welcome gift from EPR Women's Network. This year's conference is going to be amazing, and so we look forward to having you. But again, welcome. All right, I think that about wraps it up for today. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate the feedback, and we look forward to seeing you during our next session. Again, save the date next month. We will be having a session, another session, and we will make sure that we'll get that information out to you. Thanks so much for sticking around, and have a lovely rest of the weekend.
Okay. Okay.